Day 3 of Trump campaign chief criminal trial. Today, Paul Manafort's bookkeeper testifying for hours, including that Manafort was struggling to pay his bills in 2016 as he worked for Trump for free. And Mueller's team fighting today to show jurors more evidence of the lavish lifestyle that Manafort was trying to keep up. More pictures like this, I'm going to show it to you, these, of Manafort's suits, including a $15,000 ostrich jacket. I just didn't know that was a thing. I like clothes. And this, an $18,500 python coat. Jurors have seen a few photos, but not many. Prosecutors want to show them things like Manafort's closet, his pool house, and a flower bed in the shape of an M at his house in the Hamptons. But the judge is actually pushing back, saying it, quote, besmirches the defendant and would engender some resentment against rich people. They certainly do make an impression.
That's right. He had a coat made from an ostrich, which explains the state's first witness. And is the man who did this to you in the courtroom? Can you point him out?
All right, with me now, Tim O'Brien, executive editor of Bloomberg View and author of Trump Nation, and Franklin Foer, who's covered Manafort extensively for The Atlantic. His latest piece is, quote, a hell of a performance by Paul Manafort about how he's acting in court. Franklin, let me just start with you, because Paul Manafort's demeanor and the way he's been acting prior to the trial got him into hot water. It's why he ended up in jail, because there are some basic, simple rules you should follow if you are under federal investigation and about to be tried by the federal government. And he just didn't bother with any of them. So the idea that this trial is off to a somewhat unusual start shouldn't be a surprise to anyone.
No, of course not. I mean, the evidence against Paul Manafort is pretty crystal clear. And you see this in witness after witness who's able to describe this Rube Goldberg contraption of finances that he set up that involved extensive laundering of money from Cyprus. But Paul Manafort himself is an image maker, and he understands he's got 12 people sitting in a jury box, and he's got to put on somewhat of a show for them. And so the image that he's projecting to them as he flashes them smiles and as he poses at the defense table is an image of self-confidence. And so he's posing like one of the senators that he advised before. So there's this dissonance between what jurors are hearing on the stand from all these other witnesses, which is very damning, and what Manafort presents himself.
I do kind of love that moxie. Let me show you some pictures, Tim, of Manafort's Hamptons home and a description of what the landscaper described in court, that he maintained 14-foot hedges, lawns, a waterfall, flower-lined tennis courts, a bed of hundreds of white flowers, and another which had red flowers in the shape of the letter M. Some danger that the prosecution here might overplay its hand in the idea that he's rich, but to Franklin's point, it is a Rube Goldberg of a financial thing, and jurors don't respond well to that, as we remember from Enron.
Right. What was that M carved out for? Was it Manafort or money laundering or must make more money? The odd thing that emerges in this testimony today is that he loses around $600,000 in 2015. He loses over $1 million in 2016. Yet he's continuing to spend like King Midas. And you get the sense, like you do about many of the people that tried to hitch their wagons to Trump's star in 2016, that they saw him as a profit center. I don't think many of them thought he was going to get elected president, and they saw this as a short-term way to make some money. It would seem that that's what Paul Manafort was thinking. I think the other great thing about the case today is that the bookkeeper testified. And as a journalist, I always love it when the bookkeepers testify, because you get a fact pattern around money. And the bookkeeper's based in Southern California, even though most of Manafort's business operations are in New York, Virginia, and Florida. She's at a distance. She's not seeing the transactions that are being presented during the trial. Why isn't she, even though she prepares his taxes every year, and on and on. The bookkeeper's testimony today was very damning.
And Franklin, the bookkeeper testifies that she didn't get any information about the fact that he had foreign accounts. So the whole thing's a little whack. He's not making money. He's selling himself as an influence peddler to some remarkably rich people. What in the end is the narrative here that we're looking for jurors to take away?
I think one is the sense of impunity with which Paul Manafort operated, that he was willing to fabricate documents, he was willing to offer people jobs in exchange for loans, that he was desperate, that he was in such a tremendous hole despite having this massive amount of money flowing to him from Ukraine. There were these memos that he wrote to Viktor Yanukovych, the president of Ukraine, where he's pleading with him to pay him more money, even though he's paying him millions of dollars a year.
Tim, Manafort was working, the bookkeeper also pointed out, working for free for Donald Trump while not having money. Look,
nobody works for free.
Right. So this becomes part of the argument to the jury, right? That wasn't working for pay from Donald Trump, but ...
Right. Who
selling influence somewhere, something else was happening because you can't support the ostrich and the crocodile or python jackets while working for free when you're heavily in debt.
That's right. And some of the court documents that have come out so far, I think he processed around $75 million through the business in a relatively short period of time. Around 60 of that accrued to him personally. So here's somebody who has 60 million coming into his accounts and is still going into hock. I think he was somebody who was very, very desperate.
So it's not that the prosecution is trying to pick on the rich. They're trying to illustrate how does this rich guy who doesn't have any money spend as much money as he has? Where's the money coming?
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.